You ever sit in silence and just wonder? Wonder why? Why you're here? What you're doing? Maybe as a boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, single, parent, non-parent, friend, aunt, uncle, cousin, co-worker, employee, employer. The list is endless of who we are and what we're not only capable of, but the titles we give ourselves. And we have to reflect on the why behind all of it. Behind all of it. And I was compelled this morning to light a candle. I like candles just a little bit. And as I lit a candle and I thought about somebody, and another person came to mind. And then another person came to mind. And all of the different things that we can just kind of pause about, things, people, the stuff that we've been blessed with, that we pretty much today take for granted. Even if you have an obscene amount of money and you've worked, it's a blessing. And if you don't have any money, you can kind of look around and see the things that you still are blessed with. Or maybe you're working on your physical health, or your emotional health, or spiritual health, financial health, psychological health. It doesn't, relational. We're surrounded by relationships. We're surrounded by those that are light around us. We are. And if we are part of the great I am, the Creator that made all, as everybody else is and every other thing is, then we need to stop. Pause, reflect, and just go, what are you doing to me right now? What's going on in my life? Why am I in this situation that I'm currently in? Where am I going? What do I want? What am I doing? See, I have been blessed enough to recognize that there are people in my life that I have invited to call me out when I slip and I'm not being the Eddie that God created me to be. Where we can learn to see our faults, humble ourselves just a little bit, put that ego aside and go, gosh, I did screw up there. I did make a mistake there. It's okay because it's not permanent. See, to me, the only thing permanent in life is change. That's in life. And the only thing permanent that created life is God. God is permanent. And so if change is always everlasting, then what are we changing and then transforming into? How are we making the shift of who we are and what we are? Are you being that light for somebody else? Do you find yourself taking, or do you find yourself giving? We have to do both, by the way. And to be completely transparent, I have a difficult time receiving. I do. And some people love receiving. Some people can't stand receiving. Whatever that is, you have to learn, if you're going to be a giver, you have to be a receiver. There's no balance in that. In order to make the money that you do, it doesn't matter what it is, then as you do that, how are you serving with that money and giving back with that money? Sharing with that money. It's God's money after all. In God we trust is written on the dollar bill. There's a reason for that. Do you trust God for it? But again, it's not a financial thing. It's a relational thing. Stop today. Just for a few minutes. And the easiest way to kind of reflect for me is I light candles and pause. I do. I'm like, what are you doing to me right now? Illuminate my path, God. Father, I call him Dad. And say, what are you doing with me? Where are you bringing me? Why am I in this situation? Why am I enduring this discomfort or pain or growth as what it really is? Am I being the best version of me right now? Because as we always wake up and see the mirror, we're we're being critical of ourselves. We do. Or maybe it's the ego going, wow, I'm looking this way or that way. When at the end of the end, what really matters? Don't live a half-lived life. Don't live just enough. Don't live enough just to get by. That's a scarcity. It's a lack mentality. It's where darkness resides. If we're part of this abundant light that's everywhere around us, how are we tapping into that so we can be one with that? You need to do that. Some people do that with giving. Some people do that with receiving and then sharing. Some do that with prayer. Some do that with offering their time for others. You've been given a gift. Some people have been blessed with several gifts. How are you sharing that gift? Because the ultimate thing is the gift wasn't given to you by chance or by, you're lucky. You're fortunate to have that gift. And are you giving God that credit for that gift? Maybe you love speaking. Maybe you hate speaking. Maybe you're a great organizer and you like the behind the scenes to make things happen. Maybe you're a laborer. Maybe you're a doctor, lawyer. Maybe you're somebody that's working in a factory. Everyone matters. See, the world has been shifted on judgment. I always think like if we're all surrounded by this pond and we were all a different species and we're all drinking from this pond, we're all tapping into that source in order to be alive. Let's just say that water. The hippos are in the water, the alligators in the water. Here come the zebras and the lions and tigers and bears, and everybody's tapping into that water and appreciating the blessing. But they don't think of it like we do. They're just being who God created them to be. Are you? It's hard to understand that, and as we all navigate this thing of life and just try to figure out, what are you doing with me, God? And it's not a religious thing. You have to get that religion out of your head and that title out of your head and go into being a servant of what God wants us to be. And so just like all of those animals I just stated and talked about tapping into that pond, how are you tapping into our source of light? We are the light of the world because there's God inside of us. Scripturally speaking, he says, I am the truth, the way, and the life. Life comes from a light. We must shine. We must be abundant. We must serve. And when we serve and give and we tap into this thing, we have to understand that we come into this world with nothing and we leave this world with nothing. We all know that. So why in the middle of that dash of our dates of being here in this physical space, in this realm that we just struggle and we work at these things to make us better, but we should be tapping into the source of who we are. No, I'm not saying you should sit on a mountain and do nothing with your life. That's not what God wants. I know that. Yes, we have our quiet time, but we are here to serve one another and bring more people to the light, to build the kingdom, if you will. That's why we're here. Because the world is fallen, the world is dark, the world is full of ridicule and toxicity and mockery and sickness and disease and control. But how do you get your own power back, your own control back, to where all lives matter? Every species matters. It all has an intention and a purpose. One isn't better than the other. One doesn't have a different hierarchy than the other. They all matter. And when you look around your life and you see maybe the season that you had with somebody and they're no longer in your life, but it was helping you to become the person who you are today. Are you grateful for it? Is there judgment there? How about the people that are in your life right now? Are they building you up, or are they blowing out your candle? See, we have to understand that if we can let go of the control, but more importantly, let go of the judgment or the expectation even of others, and just see the light in them and how it benefits us as we can benefit them, then we make the shift. We pause and we just go, what are you doing to me right now? Father, use me. Use me. And as I stated, that we are our own individual light, that own individual candle that doesn't have a light on yet. As we're in utero and we grow into this unbelievable being. And when it's time for us to be here in the physical space as we leave our mother's womb, we are part of that light. And as we grow and we grow and we grow, we start to realize that we can too make the decision and tap into that light. You see, no light, no candle, if you will, loses anything at all. It doesn't lose its light by lighting another candle. That source, this single source of light, illuminated all of these candles, yet lost nothing, but created more light. And that's what we are to do for others. It's not an ego play. It's not a serving play. It's not a controlling play. It's a giving play. It's a light emanating play to where we can just pause and go, how am I going to serve today? How am I going to give back today? How am I going to add to somebody's life that didn't know that it was coming so I too can be a blessing? Father, use me right now. Use me. I don't know what you're up to, but I'm asking you, if you want to use me, I'm all in. And if you want to show off, this is the things that I always talk to God about. If you want to show off, I'm ready to be on your team. The burdens are great. It's not easy standing in the shadow of what God did for the world. It's not easy. I have no problem being second to our Creator. None. And when we let go of that and we see this light that we have, we are not to keep this to ourselves, but we should too be a light to somebody that is defeated, frustrated, depressed, lost. So maybe it's a prayer, maybe it's financially giving, maybe it's your giving of your gift and how you serve. But we need to be there for each other. That's all that really matters. Because at the end, that's how you leave a legacy. The legacy of letting go of what others think and all the things that I did and all the accolades. It's tough because if you've ever been to different entrepreneurial events or motivational or spiritual events or those kind of things, some of the teachers, if you will, coaches, will ask you to write your eulogy. And I struggle with that. I still to this day struggle. Because what do you want to be known for? At the end, what are people going to say about you? You know, we're not to please everybody. God knows I have ruffled plenty of feathers and said some not so cool things to people. And I have asked God for shut my mouth. Because ego gets in the way. We're full of sin. We are. It's a control thing. But at the end, we just have to go, what am I doing right now? How am I giving light to the world? How am I leaving a legacy? How am I letting go and truly letting God steer my heart, my path, and illuminate my path with your light, Father? Isn't it interesting that if we are all walking this dark path together, that if somebody were to light a torch and walk along that path, we follow that light. Because that's what leads us on that path. What path Or what light, if you will, are you following? It's how we leave a legacy. It's how we do that little thing to add to somebody's life. I choose to do that every day. I want to find someone that I can add just a little bit of good into their life. Some little way. Maybe it's a hug. Maybe it's a smile. Maybe it's opening a door. Maybe it's a comment that is saying something very nice and pleasant to somebody. He's going, hey, great smile. Your hair looks great. Thank you for doing that for me. I appreciate you. I'm going to pray for you. Those little things, they always add up. They could be bad when you're thinking about you, or they can be good when you're thinking about others. It's your choice. It's your life. It's your legacy. Be that light that God created you to be. Have a great day.